Welcome to the Ubuntu Room, where we talk all things personal empowerment, all things spiritual development, and everything in between. A place where we recognize that the power is in our hands to create the lives that we desire, and that everything we seek is actually within us. So whether you're peeking around the corner with curiosity, or you're sitting in the thick of it with your own spiritual development, I have a feeling there's something here for you. So grab your notebooks, people, and let's get to it. Hi, my name is Dana Sardano, and this is the Ubuntu Room. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. For those of you who are new to who I am and what I do, the Ubuntu Room is a place where we talk all things personal empowerment, all things spiritual development, and everything that falls in between. It's where we recognize that the power is in our hands to create the lives that we desire, and that personal empowerment and spiritual development are actually very much intertwined. And each of us on our own journey of self-discovery falls somewhere on that spectrum. It's my hope that by having these conversations, maybe I'll meet you where you fall, and perhaps we could travel together. I'm so excited about having you in the Ubuntu Room because we are going to discuss topics like how our beliefs shape our reality and how our beliefs shape our patterns that we perpetuate throughout our lives. And that if we don't like the patterns that we're perpetuating, that we have the power and the control to change them. We're going to talk about our energy centers and understanding that when our energy is in proper alignment, it affects the aspects of our lives that create joy, peace, and freedom. We're going to talk alignment, and we're going to talk manifestation, a word that seems to get thrown around. We're really going to get down to what that means. We're going to discuss our gifts, not just our spiritual gifts, but our giftedness that we owe to ourselves to expand so we could bring it to the world. But before I move further, I want to give you my website. My website is Ubuntu, UBU, NTU, fishgallery.com. And I want you to contact me if there's any topic that you'd like me to discuss, anything that you think would directly affect your life, and I'll do my best to include it in the program. Because at the end of the day, Ubuntu, we're all doing this together. So Ubuntu, what's Ubuntu, you ask? Because I throw the word Ubuntu around all the time. It's in everything I do. It's in the relationships I form, business, my artwork, how I raise my children. Ubuntu is an ancient African term, and it simply means I am because we are. And I'll tell you, in my opinion, part of the problem with what's going on with humanity right now is the lack of this philosophy. Not all of us, but so many of us are stepping on one another to succeed. We're living in survival. We're doing our best, and we're not able to see the needs of those around us, at least not in a healthy way. But if we all include this concept in our lives, maybe humanity could raise together. So I have to share with you the true story of Ubuntu, the story that I heard that changed everything for me and why I include it in everything I do. Now, the story could be a legend, it could be a parable. I'm not exactly sure, but it was very impactful nonetheless, and I want to share it with you today. So the story goes, there was an American anthropologist studying a Zulu tribe in Africa. And when he was waiting for his transportation to pick him up, to bring him back to the States, he was hanging out with some kids of the village. And to pass the time, he said to them, "Hey, I have some candy I bought in the city. I'm going to put it by the base of that tree. And I want you guys to all line up. And when I count to 3, I want you to race to the tree. And whoever gets there first gets to have the candy." And the kids were like, "Oh yeah," they got all excited and they lined up. And the anthropologist counts. 1, 2, 3. And on 3, all the kids linked arms and they all ran to the tree together. And the anthropologist, he was dumbfounded. He goes over to the tree and all the kids are eating and they're hanging out, they're having the best time. And he goes up to one of the girls and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I don't understand. Why would you, if you could have had all the candy yourself, why would you share?" And the girl looks at him and she says, "Ubuntu. I am because we are. How could I possibly enjoy this candy if we don't all enjoy it together?" And when I heard that story for the first time, and I've heard it a billion times since, and I've told it a billion times since, and every time it gets me right in my heart, because that's the answer to all of it. I finally, when I heard that story, was able to have a story and a term and a philosophy that surrounded how I felt as a human. What I understood would be a better way for all of us. So now I apply it to my artwork, Ubuntu Art by Dana, and to my website, ubuntufishgallery.com. And some of the books I've written, the Ubuntu Girl's Guide to Greatness, Me, You, Ubuntu. And I'm hoping by having these conversations, I can bring it to you. Now, as important as this concept is of unity consciousness, of lifting one another up, of collaboration and communication and cooperation over competition, as important as that is, I'll tell you something that's equally, if not more important. And that is selfishness. Now, I understand selfishness is a dirty word for a lot of people, but how could you possibly bring anything to others in a healthy way if you don't first focus on the self? And that's what I want to talk about after the break. So we're going to go to commercial, think about what I said, and I'll see you when we get back.
Searching for inspiration, truth, and a fresh perspective on life? Author Dana Sardano brings powerful storytelling and life-changing insight in The 10 Recommendments, along with a growing collection of thought-provoking books readers can't put down. From personal growth to spiritual reflection, Dana's writing speaks to anyone looking for purpose, clarity, and motivation in today's world. Discover the books that are changing lives one page at a time. Go to ubuntufishgallery.com to explore all titles by Dana Sardano.
Meet the Ubuntu Girls, a vibrant sisterhood celebrating confidence, courage, and connection. Ubuntu Girls' Guide to Greatness inspires girls and women to embrace their worth, rise with purpose, and support one another every step of the way. Featuring empowering wisdom and bold artwork by Dana Sardano, this book is a celebration of feminine strength in all its forms. Because together, we rise. We are all in this together, girl.
Veda Finds Her Crown by Dana Sardano is more than a children's book. It's an interactive journey of self-discovery for all ages. Blending storytelling, reflection, and empowerment, this heartwarming experience helps children and adults reconnect with their inner child, build confidence, and rediscover joy. Perfect for families, educators, and anyone ready to heal, grow, and play again. Veda Finds Her Crown, because the power to shine has been inside you all along.
You're watching the Ubuntu Room with Dana Sardano. For more information about Dana's artwork and resources, go to ubuntufishgallery.com. UBU, NTU, fishgallery.com. Welcome back. Thank you for rejoining me. We were talking about the philosophy of Ubuntu, about unity consciousness, about lifting one another up. And now I want to include the idea that we have to tend to the self in order to be able to do that. And I want you to think about it, because so many of us do this. So many of us assist others when our tank isn't full. If I lack worthiness, or if I'm insecure, if I have fear, if I'm not living in my truth, and I'm assisting others, if I'm bringing myself out to the world, my motives are in question, because there are needs within me that aren't being met. But when I learn to better align myself, to be secure, to feel safe, to have passion, to feel worthy, to be confident, to love with an open heart, to have forgiveness and compassion in my heart, to be free of resentments, to have discernment, to feel connected. When I am aligned in that way, I then can bring it to humanity. Now, it's easy for me to say because I've done a tremendous amount of work to be in this place, even though life does get difficult at times. But I want to share with you a little bit of my backstory. I'm not going to give you all the ins and the outs because we would be here for several hours. But I have written a few books about it that I'd like you to check out if anything I'm saying resonates with you. Again, my books, my art, it's all at ubuntufishgallery.com, UBUNTU, fishgallery.com. And you can get all the dirty details of Dana Sardano's backstory. But for now, I'm going to share with you some of the high or the low points, if you will, about how I got here. So like many of you, I came from a pretty dysfunctional home. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And the beliefs that I garnered from my experience and the patterns that I perpetuated from my experience, I brought into adulthood. And I perpetuated patterns of abandonment and abuse and drug abuse and eating disorders and all of the things that created a general feeling of discontentment in my life. And somewhere in my late 30s, I decided to make some serious changes. And actually, I'm lying. I made some minor changes. That's where I started. There were certain things in my life that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I changed it. And I did that enough that I felt the shift in my life. And when I was shifting, I wound up meeting my girls. And for now, we'll call him my girl's birth father. And when I met him, again, he was not the picture of perfection, and I was not yet perfectly aligned. But it was enough that we were able to have a relationship, and I had two beautiful daughters back to back at 38 and 39 years old, just pushing 40. And when I had my children, I understood unconditional love for the first time in my life, because previously I had been living in survival and living in all sorts of fear-driven beliefs. But now I understood unconditional love. And I understood what it felt to be a mother. And I saw motherhood finally from the perspective of being a mother, which actually gave me the opportunity to look at my mother from a different perspective, with all of her warts and bumps and bruises and imperfections. And then, after over 2 decades of estrangement from my father, I forgave him. And I mended that relationship. Now I have unconditional love and forgiveness in my heart. And with that, I aligned with my schmoopy. My husband Rob, stepped into the picture because I was now ready for him. And in that relationship, feeling safe to be who I was and supported, all of a sudden I was able to ignite my creativity. I was always a creative child, but because life is what life is, we put these things to the side so we could survive. I'm sure you could relate. And I started painting, and something had awoken in me, and I couldn't stop painting. And in that, I realized that my job, I was an educator for many years. I was a learning specialist, director of student development, administrator in a local high school, worked with kids with differentiated instruction. And a job that I was aligned with, I was no longer aligned with. It became a soul-sucking job. And within 2 years of my beginning painting, I left that job. I wound up selling my house, getting rid of the fancy car so I could live the life as an artist, because I had a supportive husband that would have done anything for me to be happy. So then we moved out into the woods. And then things got crazy. I found myself on an unintentional spiritual journey. And then I expanded even more and lived in the joy even more, and then addressed some things that weren't serving me because it was easier now. And then I met some really cool people, and then I opened a gallery. And then we did workshops, and we had events, and we created art, and we expanded our intuition together. Then I started writing books, all about personal empowerment and spiritual development to assist others, and perhaps having a little bit easier journey than I had. And now I do a segment on the Brooklyn Cafe show, the Ubuntu Room, and I'm here talking to you because I'm so inspired by my mission and purpose that I want to assist others in theirs. So it's not out of reach. It's there for all of us. And when we do that, when we say yes to ourselves, and when we listen to that voice, when we follow the joy, when we address the things that don't work for us, cut toxic ties, put to rest patterns and beliefs that just don't work for us, and embrace our greatness, then we have the ability and the stability to bring that to the world. Ubuntu. So that's why we're here, and that's why I'm here. And there are many of you who are listening to my voice that are not interested in what I have to say, and I get that because you're not ready and you have your own journey, and I respect that. But for those of you who are picking up what I'm putting down and just need a resource or an arrow to point you in the right direction, I encourage you once again, go to my website. It's all there. UbuntuFishGallery.com. And you will see I have resources for all levels, for all ages, for all needs. We're going to take a little bit of a commercial break. A little bit. A minor one. We're going to take a break. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about my resources and how I can assist you in being the best version of yourself. So thank you, and I'll see you on the other side.
Searching for inspiration, truth, and a fresh perspective on life? Author Dana Sardano brings powerful storytelling and life-changing insight in the 10 Commandments, along with a growing collection of thought-provoking books readers can't put down. From personal growth to spiritual reflection, Dana's writing speaks to anyone looking for purpose, clarity, and motivation in today's world. Discover the books that are changing lives one page at a time. Go to UbuntuFishGallery.com to explore all titles by Dana Sardano.
Meet the Ubuntu Girls, a vibrant sisterhood celebrating confidence, courage, and connection. Ubuntu Girls' Guide to Greatness inspires girls and women to embrace their worth, rise with purpose, and support one another every step of the way. Featuring empowering wisdom and bold artwork by Dana Sardano, this book is a celebration of feminine strength in all its forms. Because together, we rise. We are all in this together, girl.
Veda Finds Her Crown by Dana Sardano is more than a children's book. It's an interactive journey of self-discovery for all ages. Blending storytelling, reflection, and empowerment, this heartwarming experience helps children and adults reconnect with their inner child, build confidence, and rediscover joy. Perfect for families, educators, and anyone ready to heal, grow, and play again. Veda Finds Her Crown, because the power to shine has been inside you all along.
You're watching the Ubuntu Room with Dana Sardano. For more information about Dana's artwork and resources, go to UbuntuFishGallery.com. UBU, FishGallery.com. Welcome back, and thank you for joining me in the Ubuntu Room. So we have been talking about the importance of working together in humanity to lift each other up. But in order to do that, we have to be in the best space ourselves. We have to live as the best versions of ourselves. And that looks different for each of us. So wherever you are on your journey of life, show yourself some grace. Understand that changes are made one step at a time. And that wherever you are, that's the place where you start. Start small, and you will watch it evolve. I made some minor changes, and next thing I know, I was aligned to have my beautiful children. And then I made some difficult changes, and then my husband showed up. And then I made a lot of difficult and fun changes, and then it got easy. And now, when something is out of alignment in my life, I'm able to look at it, address it, and move on and move up with ease. And I'm hoping, and I would like to see that for you. So I want to share with you some of my resources. Like I said, I have all ages, all different areas of your own development. And if something speaks to you, I encourage you to pick it up. So I wasn't going to mention this today, but I will. I wrote a book called A Woman's Journey. It is an anthology of all my paintings because I paint predominantly women. When you go to my website, you will see that. And I paint women because that's my perspective. And I have a line of women called the Ubuntu Girls because they encompass this philosophy. And they are all different archetypes of women. You have like the bold woman and the shy woman and the joyful woman and the creative woman. And in this book, I tell the story of a woman through my artwork and little write-ups and poems and things like that, from their innocence through their creativity, through their rebelliousness, through their motherhood, and up through their spiritual awakening. It really is a beautiful anthology. But that's just for Oz. That's just for something to enjoy. But if you are on a spiritual journey, like you are ready, like you're looking around at your life and you're like, it's time I need to affect change, and you're ready to roll up your sleeves and do some work. I wrote a trilogy, and each book will reach you where you're at. But the first book is called 10 Recommendments for Personal Empowerment. And it's really when you're ready to align yourself, make those difficult decisions, and affect change in your life, and get something better out of life. I highly recommend it, but only if you're ready, because it's scary, this work. I'm not going to lie to you, but if you're ready, it's there in support of you. Its follow-up is called Beyond the 10, Decoding the Woo-Woo, because when you do align yourself, all of a sudden life gets a little bit more magical. Maybe you become a little bit more spiritual, and a lot of weird, kooky things happen. And then the gurus all start showing up, telling you what to think and believe, and you have to have that proper discernment. So I break it down, and I do it in a no-nonsense way. Like, yeah, you want to know what manifestation is? It's X, Y, and Z. Don't believe the hype. So if that speaks to you, Beyond the 10, Decoding the Woo-Woo. And the third of the trilogy is when you're ready to really do a deep dive. And it's called You've Cracked the Code, The Woo Is You. And there's a billion reflective questions. And it's questions on expanding your gifts, questions on the chakra system, just questions on your aspects of self that might be out of balance. And it's really good when you are ready to roll up your sleeves and be the best version of yourself. So that trilogy is pretty awesome. I also wrote two early reader books, super cute for little kids. One about accountability, My New Brain, and one, Me, You, Ubuntu, about sharing. Super fun. I also wrote a book for middle readers, for adolescents, and it's called Veda Finds Her Crown. And it's to help students or children with their emotional regulation, to help them understand their energy centers and bring themselves into balance so that they don't have to be adults. They don't have to be old ladies like me that they have to go do it retroactively. It's a little story, cute little story I illustrated. It's combined with a workbook. I've created a deck of cards for accompaniment, a 9-week curriculum for teachers and parents and people who are doing homeschooling for their kids. And it's this beautiful package to help the health and wellness, the emotional health and wellness of the whole child. Really, really, really cool stuff. And lastly, second to lastly, I wrote a book called The Ubuntu Girls Guide to Greatness. And I mentioned the Ubuntu Girls. They are all different aspects of self. They're all archetypes of ourselves. And the Ubuntu Girls Guide to Greatness is the fun version of personal growth. So you have 10 recommendments that you're like pulling out your eyelashes and, rocking yourself in fetal position, waiting for it to end until you're on the other side of it. But, fun fact, the other side is always better. So that's 10 recs. That's a trilogy. But the Ubuntu Girls Guide to Greatness is fun because there's different ideas. Oh, I'm curious. I want to work on my worthiness. And there's a couple pages with hot tips and exercises, reflective questions. Oh, I want to take better care of my body. What can I do about that? Oh, I should be more accountable. I should be more mindful. And it's a real fun, a page a day, something to focus on for the day. I created a deck of cards that are the same material, but you decide what you prefer, a book in your hand or the flipping of the cards. That's totally up to you. So I have all of these resources, different ages, again, catch you in different places, even the artwork, there's different ways that it speaks to you. And again, If the sound of my voice isn't grating and what I'm saying is speaking to you, I encourage you to go to my website, ubuntufishgallery.com, UBUNTU fishgallery.com, and just take a look, because again, my mission and purpose is to help you achieve your mission and purpose. So before I go, I have one more thing that I want to share with you. When I first started this journey of the creative part of making the books and the cards and all of those things, I teamed up with a very dear friend of mine. Her name is Anne-Marie Scordy. She's a trance channel. She's brilliant, gifted. She's amazing. If that sort of thing speaks to you, she is also on my website. I have all the Ubuntu stuff and my art and my books, and then there's a tab that says Anne-Marie. That's where you'll find her. And she and I teamed up, and she had all these beautiful, profound, and empowering channeled messages, insightful, amazing, helpful. And I teamed up and I added my artwork, and we created a deck of cards called the Soul Traveler Cards of Empowerment. I want to close today by reading one of these cards to you. Because you can't see it, I've got Rosie on the front. Her name is, she emulates Rosie the Riveter, but she's like 2.0. She's all cool and sassy. Again, go to my website. Check her out. She's there. But I want to read to you her message on her card. It's called Your Power. You are connected to universal creative energy. Once you accept this truth, you understand your creative power, for it cannot be otherwise. You are the creator of your life by the nature of the energy of who you are. The true understanding of your power is transformational. For when you can accept that you are indeed the creator of your life, you can no longer feel a victim to forces outside your control. If you are the creator, then you create all. Even that which is unpleasant, it is for you to understand that as you think, so you create. Realize your thoughts. This is key. The intentional transformation of your life comes through this realization. Your power. So thank you for listening. I look forward to next time. Feel free to contact me with your ideas, things that you would like to hear. And as always, Ubuntu. Thank you for tuning in to the Ubuntu Room. And more importantly, for taking another step toward a better you. See you next time. And don't forget your note.